Our group was assigned with the task of assessing the following statement: a government that was too blind and laissez-faire were at the root of the economic, social, and political unfairness of the Gilded Age, 1865 to 1900. Our thesis is, the Gilded Age, from 1865 to 1900, was riddled with social, economic, and political strife, sparked and fueled by an ineffective and passive government. Looking at the social climate at the time, certain aspects that support our claim are the failure to end child labor, the neglection of women's rights, the banning of prostitutes, criminals, and Chinese workers from becoming citizens in 1875, and the lack of rights for minorities, as well as the theory of the social gospel, essentially an idea of charity that was good at its foundation, but was ineffective and not followed largely. So in addition to the failure to end child labor, there were poor working conditions and incredibly long hours, and nothing was done about it. Certain aspects of the time period that contradict our claim are that African Americans were allowed to become citizens in 1870, which is a big milestone, though there was lots of room for growth left. The banning of criminals, Chinese workers, and prostitutes from becoming citizens can be seen as a good thing, obviously, other than the Chinese workers, due to the fact that prostitutes and criminals weren't exactly the most beneficial members of society. And a new Bureau of Immigration Laws, there was a new Bureau of Immigration Laws in 1891, which is, the example of the banning of prostitutes, criminals, Chinese workers from becoming citizens, and the new Bureau of Immigration Laws are examples that show a more active and more involved government, as these are government enacted legislations. So, looking at the economy at the time, certain examples that once again also support our claim are the robber barons, civil service reform, metallism, deflation, and labor unions, all of which are definitely centered towards individuals and have a lack of government participation and an aspect that contradicts our claim is the improvement of middle-class life. Things that prior were not accessible to the middle class now were, which is actually a good aspect to the Gilded Age, though one may consider its drawbacks and whether or not this minor improvement is worth the costs on the left. Looking at the political climate at the time, there were corrupt, biased, and bribed politicians, as depicted in many political cartoons, and often represented by money bags, showing their corruption, wealth, and absorption of lots of money that could be used towards lots of social reform and social services that could benefit the public, as well as bribery within and nepotism within Congress and other government bodies. Additionally, there was corruption within the railroad industry, as seen with the credit mobiler scandal, very big and very shocking event, as well as monopolies, which were uncontrolled and were not being broken up by the government, as the government was very uninvolved and very inactive. And this goes against certain capitalist principles of competition, and was definitely a drawback in American society. But there were higher voter participation rates, which does support democracy and is in support and is obviously very beneficial and good improvement. So, in conclusion, Though there are some points that prove a relatively competent government, the vast majority of economics, social reform, and legislation was pushed and pulled by the wealthy public, who overrode the largely weak and insignificant government. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our presentation.